You're listening to Rocket Night.
Are you ready? Hey, tonight I'm gonna take you on a little trip. We're going down south by the mighty Mississippi. I'm gonna take you to a place where lights never dim. Bring your mother, your brother, and your best friend. I'm gonna show you where they dance out in the street. They'll tell you all about your body heat. Not gonna talk about it, just gonna do it. Get on down if you feel up good. Now, get on down.
This is Anita Stewart, and it's September 3rd, and we're here at Curtis Hickson Park with Noel Rochford of UNRB. And I've got a lot of questions for you, but let me start with this. Why ukulele?
I don't know. I picked up a lot of instruments in middle and high school. You know, I was a band nerd, and I loved the idea of being able to make any sound that you want to hear in your head. So I started learning drums and piano and bass, everything, to try to recreate the sounds that I was, hearing and I wanted to put out there in the world. So that's when I started songwriting. I picked up ukulele in Hawaii. I went on vacation there for a week just before I turned 14. And I came back with the ukulele and 3 chords, enough to play Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And I started, when I played guitar, I learned on a nylon string guitar, so that's probably part of it. Aesthetically, it feels similar. It's got fewer strings, it's smaller, it's more portable. People still stop me on the street because they went to high school with me, and they're like, "You're the guy who was playing ukulele in between classes in the hallway." Because I would just get it out of my backpack, I'd walk around in the hallways to my locker playing ukulele. I think just because I got that much more practice time on it, because it was always just in my hands, it was around. I really attached to it. Like, no particular reason. I didn't consciously decide ukulele is going to be my thing. It felt right. And when I started a band, I decided to keep playing the ukulele.
Now, you do a lot of genre mixing. So a lot of what I hear is pop, reggae, ska. But if you were to describe the band, what genre would you say you all are?
We're still talking about that ourselves. We're trying to figure it out. The ska backbone is very present. You can hear that a lot in the rhythms and the horn lines. The influences are clearly present. But we take it in a lot of different directions, like you said. Creative Loafing actually gave us a Critics' Pick Award for the first Best of the Bay that we won. It was Best Ska Fusion. Oh. And so Ska Fusion, it's... I love cooking beef stew, so you throw in a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and you eventually get this delicious stew. So we have ska as like the base, that's our broth, and then we just start throwing in little bits of genres that we like. And again, I didn't decide that the ukulele had to be my shtick. We didn't decide that we had to be a ska band. We're just writing songs that we like, and all those little details from other artists come through, like. Our drummer's a huge metalhead. Most of our horn players love, laid-back jazz. Our bass player's a solid punk rocker, and I grew up listening to the Beatles, so it goes everywhere.
Now, did all of you grow up in musical families, or were you all band nerds, or how did that happen?
Definitely band nerds. I'd say Nick, our bass player, is the only one who didn't do like high school concert band, marching band, stuff like that. But he was playing, again, the punk rock bass with the band. Eric did percussion, the big bass drums and gongs. I played trombone. All the horn players did their respective horns. And even Nick started picking up upright bass in college, and he started playing, classical style with a bow. So I met Eric, our drummer, at St. Pete College when we were all studying classical music together. Me, Nick on the bass, and Eric on percussion. Nick and I had already played together in high school, so when I was writing these songs, I kind of pulled him aside, like, hey, can you learn these bass parts? And then Eric actually heard one day that we were starting a band, and he told me, he's like, I'm playing drums for your band. Okay, yeah. So, and that's another thing that you hear come through in our music is that tight musicianship. With a 4-piece horn section, they're really paying attention to make sure that all those little dips and nuances are exactly in time with each other, that they cut off at the same time. Nobody's overpowering one another, and you can hear that attention to detail in the musicianship for UNRB songs.
That was one of the things I was going to comment on, was the fact that you see very few bands that are using a brass section that is that tight. But that is every bit as tight as like Earth, Wind, and Fire brass, I would say, because when you look at the video, The House on Lime Street, I mean, that's just, number one, it's a wild-ass video. I love it. I love it because it's a party video. And a lot of people would watch that and say, okay, this is a party band, but you guys did some incredible musicianship on that as well. And my next question, of course, seeking right into it, is who directed that video, and who had the idea for the concept of that video?
The concept made itself. That's a true story about our trombone player's old house up in Tarpon Springs. We played a little coffee house a few blocks away in the downtown district. No booze allowed. That was really early on. One of the good things that we started noticing that UNRB could go further is when people couldn't fit in the coffee house anymore. We had more people showing up than they could physically hold, so they're spilling out into the street. The back door's open and they're listening in, and so all these people wanted to party with the band because, you know, we're fun guys. Like, that music video is just that's us. Our friend Mike Plant shot the video, and we kind of co-directed it because the story is we would all go to Andy's house after the show, and we would have crazy parties, similar, not as full tilt as the music video, but that was the inspiration. So Mike set up the shots. He saw where and how wide of an angle he wanted to shoot, and we invited all of our friends, told them to wear their craziest costumes, bring ridiculous props, and between us and Mike, we kind of co-set up the shots, figuring out who was going to be involved in what scenes, who's going to be playing this drinking game, who's going to be kayaking out in the water, it was a very collaborative effort.
And whose idea was the pineapple, and why did the pineapple show up in a lot of the shots?
The pineapple is a recurring joke in UNRB. My electric ukulele is shaped like a pineapple.
Right.
And that has led to countless little hidden jokes, Easter eggs. Our first album, Inform the Masses, the album cover, has a lot of little details hidden in it, and somewhere in there's at least one, if not two pineapples, I want to say. I know there's one hidden on the album cover. And so we decided to put the album, or the pineapple, in the music video. If you watch that video over and over again, you can see the path that the pineapple takes throughout the night. And we took a pineapple with us on tour up to Milwaukee. We had a pineapple in the bus, and we kept it as long as we could as our mascot, but eventually we had to eat it. It was brutal. It was Lord of the Flies. We ate the pineapple.
Oh my God. Did you have any questions? I'm thinking of a few more.
Was this your first tour outside of Florida when you went to Wisconsin?
We've done a couple regional tours. We got out to New Orleans and Atlanta for a couple festivals a few years back. Once we were accepted to play live on a radio show up in New York. It was the Real Radio Show. It was the direct lead-in to Dee Snider's show. So it was a really great time slot. And just as a one-off weekend, we booked a bunch of shows in New York City. And then it turns out that both of the shows moved days. So it was still after the Dee Snider show, but it was on a day that we weren't going to be in town anymore, so we couldn't do the radio interview. We just decided to go play a couple days in New York City and come back. But this was the first really big cross-country tour. Summerfest is the biggest music festival in terms of sheer size in the country. And it was an offer that was too good for us to pass up. So we got in the UNR bus with our pineapple and our gear, and we strung together as many shows as we could on the way there, on the way back. And it was a good learning experience. We survived 11 days in a tiny bus and didn't kill each other. And now we're itching to get back out on the road. We got the first really big tour under our belts, and we're already looking forward to putting out the new album, getting out on the next tour. I can't confirm anything yet, but there's a strong possibility that we could be doing Warped Tour in 2016. So that would be very good for us if we can get that together.
How long have you actually been together?
We just celebrated our 5-year anniversary. Woo! back in August 14th, 5 years to the day of our very first show. We just did our show at where was it? Skipper's Smokehouse. I wasn't expecting to be able to hit it right on the 5-year mark, so that was a pleasant surprise. It was a Friday, and it worked out. This core group has been together 4 of the 5 years too. We had a couple of horn substitutions really early on, but that's part of why we're so tight, live and in the studio, is because we've been playing together. We know how these guys approach certain parts, and we know each other's personalities, so we genuinely just get along. Very little, if any, disagreements in the band. And again, we're a party band. But again, that wasn't our goal. We never really had a particular idea of what the band should be. It's just, it's us, and we're having fun, and it comes through on stage.
What is everybody listening to? What's in the CD player?
Oh, man, that's an individual question. You'd get 7 different answers out of the guys. What am I listening to right now? I'm still exploring the limitations of Spotify free right now. I will upgrade to premium eventually, but I'm getting some good playlists. A lot of old school funk. I've been really digging on Sly and the Family Stone lately. And that's part of our approach on the new album is we're very good at doing a lot all at once. I want to try to pull it back a little bit and have each part come in at exactly the right moment and play exactly enough to perform its role. Sly and the Family Stone, those horns, they wouldn't come in and do much, but when they did, it was for maximum effect, and then they were gone. And you didn't realize how much you missed them until they came back. And I'm trying to really piece together the new songs like that. And then I'm listening to Cage the Elephant too, because I've probably said several times by now that we're not really looking to define ourselves or limit ourselves to anything. And Cage the Elephant is a band that genuinely does not care what people think about their music. So it just gets out there. It gets weird sometimes. But they have a distinctive sound, and they lean into it, and they just rock so hard because they're not thinking about anything except what they want to do with their music. And I kind of feel that vibe with UNRB. Just 7 self-assured band nerds playing really loud.
Do you have any EPs out?
Yes, we just put out our new EP, Collateral Jamage, back in June. That was our CD release party. It was also our tour kickoff party. And the title track, Collateral Jamage, has been getting some pretty good local airplay. That's a really fun track right there. It clocks in at exactly 3 minutes. And that's really, I'd say, the first song that started my approach on this less is more songwriting style. Because I pulled out pieces of the song. I wanted to leave stuff in, but at just 3 minutes, it had everything I wanted to hear. It moves along pretty quick. And it's one of my favorite songs that I've ever written.
Have you contemplated a name for the new album?
No, that's something that just kind of happens. The name of our first album we figured out when we were at Cracker Barrel on tour. We were talking about what we wanted to do with the album, and it was our first thing that we really put out there. So our trombone player, Andy, said, well, we want to inform the masses. We basically want to put something on the map that people will hear. And that phrase, inform the masses, just stuck. And we joked that should be the album name. Just like that, we joked that the band will be called UNRB until we find something better. And UNRB stuck. Inform the Masses is a great album title. Collateral Jamage is a joke from back in high school with me and Nick. So that one stuck.
What does UNRB stand for?
Many things. Let's see. It could stand for Ugly Nerds Remaining Bachelors. Ukulele Never Rocked Better. Usually nobody recognizes Ben. It's a phenomenon. They'll walk up to the horn players and they'll say, you did such a good job on the saxophone when he was playing the trumpet the whole night. It's lead singer syndrome. Everybody wants to talk to the lead singer. Everybody wants to talk to the drummer because Eric is extremely animated. Sometimes I think he's an octopus because he's playing such complicated parts. He must have extra hands hidden somewhere. But then the horn players, they're just standing in a line, And you can pick them out of a lineup, but you might not know their name or what they played. It's like, that's the guy with the tattoos. Yeah, I remember him. So UNRB, just, we like to, again, have fun with it. We encourage people to come up with their own version of what UNRB stands for. And typically, the drunker they get, the more outrageous the responses.
And where do you see yourselves in 5 years?
Hopefully touring. That's our next big thing right now, is we really want to tour. Some of our friends in the Bay Area are in very successful bands. They have the capacity to go on longer, larger scale tours, and we're looking at what they've done to get there and where we are now, and we're not very far behind. I think we're taking steps in the right direction. 5 years got us from a band that was just playing for the hell of it in our drummer's garage without air conditioning to right now. And we've clearly defined some goals for UNRB. We know what we want to do, what kind of band we want to be moving forward. And we still feed the not limiting ourselves and keeping things loose into our long-term goals, because that's our personality. That's never going to go away. But now we're treating the band as a business also, as a brand that people call it selling out, and I don't really want to, quote sell out. Like, we're UNRB, eat our brand of cereal. But we really want to take our music and put it out there to as many people as we can, because I think it's music that a lot of people would enjoy, and it's a shame that more people don't get to hear it as it is. So we want to take that out on the road to as many cities as we can, play it for as many people, and just really get the name UNRB out there as far as it'll reach. Like maybe the UK.
Yeah.
Hey.
What about the festival scenes that happen all across the country in the summer?
We're a very good festival band. We played Gasparilla Music Festival actually right here in Curtis Hickson Park earlier this year. And since we're Tampa Bay locals, we decided we'd really dig in on the theme and dress up like pirates. And I've never been to Gasparilla Music Festival before, terrible secret. But I thought it would be a little more pirate themed, and it was not pirate themed. We were the only 7 guys dressed up like pirates, but people loved it. And the bigger stage you put us on, the more room we have to run around, jump up and down, just be silly guys. And so I think if we're going to go touring, those festivals, like we did Summerfest up in Milwaukee this summer, on the way back down, we hit Sunset Concert Series for Southern Illinois University. That was an absolute blast. I mean, the entire town showed up in a field like this. It was just, I couldn't see the end of the crowd. It was amazing. And so with hopefully Warped Tour coming up, and the UNR bus up and running now, that's going to be a major factor for us getting out to those festivals. I think we can set up a string of dates to really tour a lot the next 2 years and get UNRB to where we want with the new album.
I've got one more, and this is based on the friendships within the band and the fact that you guys have been friends for so long. Is there a spiritual glue that holds you all together? Do you do like something to pump up before you get on stage, or how do you stay friends?
I don't know how to answer that. We don't go to any particular lengths or pains to stay friends. It's effortless. We've been through so much together. We've all hit highs and lows with the band and our personal lives. On the business side of things, I mean, we're musicians, we're best friends, but we're still people, and things happen from day to day, and we've all helped each other out when we really needed it. And we've shared our mutual successes as a band. It's every major milestone that happens, you kind of step back a little bit, and you're not the band anymore. You're just a guy realizing that, wow, I got a picture on a cover of a magazine, or this is an album that I'm holding in my hands. This didn't exist until we decided it should exist. So there's still that sense of excitement and awe that really never leaves any of us. And so when you go through that many emotional journeys over and over again with the same people, you just get that bond. And a couple of people have thought that maybe we don't get along very well because we've known each other so long that we just make the most ridiculous jokes. And, I mean, they're outlandish, they're raunchy, and sometimes it kind of seems like we're picking on each other, but it's just because we're best friends and we know the UNRB style. And, yeah, ultimately, I wouldn't trade anything in my musical career for those guys. I want to keep them around.
Anything else?
I love the PSA you did about musicians on YouTube. We're going to have to put that in the article, too. The PSA, how did that come about?
We wanted to promote the CD release of our first album back in 2013. And we wanted to put out a video, something that people could share. And we wanted to sit down and, tell people to come out and listen to the album. And we were a young band. We didn't know exactly how to go about doing that. Just sitting down and straight telling people to please listen to our music seemed a little corny at the time. So we wanted to take a fun, weird, absurd angle with it. And we made a PSA to stop musician abuse by telling people to come out and support their local shows because otherwise the musicians won't be able to afford to eat. And then we did this black and white slow motion montage of crying musicians in cardboard boxes holding their trumpets. And Sarah McLachlan was playing. And Dan at the very end is lying across my lap like he's a small dog, but he's an average-sized man, and I'm a tiny guy, so you get that size difference, and I'm gently petting him, and this is one of the many victims of musician abuse. So if there's a way to make it comedic, UNRB is going to go that route. A lot of our songs on the first album are satirical or straight-up parody in nature. We've got a song that we're working on right now for the new album. It's very Red Hot Chili Peppers influenced, and we heard it in the opening riff, and instead of leaning back and shying away from it, the working title for that song is called Sex and Drugs in Southern California. It's the most Chili Peppers, so that's our style. We never really shy away from anything.
Last thing I want to say is, what would you like to tell your fans? Or is there some kind of message or anything that you would want them to know that hasn't been out there?
It's been out there before, but I'm always going to say it again. Thank you. I don't think I can ever say that enough. Ska's not the most mainstream, commercially viable genre. That's never really bothered us. But one of those moments where you step back and realize how fortunate you are is when you see how many people are embracing this style of music that not everybody likes. The greatest compliment I can get is when someone says, I don't like ska very much, but I loved watching your band. And they buy an album, and then they comment on Facebook that I love track 3. Something like that. They really invest their time, energy to come out and see us at shows. I've gotten to know a lot of fans. I had no idea who they were before they came up and talked. I saw them at shows, and I went up and talked to them again to just see how they've been doing. They turned into friends, and it's been great getting that closeness. That's something I wasn't expecting when I started the band with these guys, but it's turned into one of my favorite parts. Right up there with the freedom of creating your own music is just seeing these people who care about you so much, and you care about them in return. And that's part of why our shows are so high energy, is we see them really rocking out to us, and that gives us the energy to jump that little bit higher. And that's completely optional. Nobody has to do that for us, and they do, and it feels amazing, and I'm never going to stop thanking people or letting them know how much that means to us. So thank you, all of you, so much.
You're listening to Rock at Night.
Thanks for the intro melody. It's called Get On Down by Billy Bass Alford. Thanks.